and welcome to Casual Shenanigans Gaming, a podcast all about Battlefield, DayZ, and all things PC gaming related. Tonight is just a lonely small podcast of just myself, Germ Gaming, and Dave.
Hey guys, I'm Dave, the not so evil Viking 13.
If you're wondering where everyone else is, well, they're not here because we had to move the podcast recording date because we are all busy later this week. Basically, that's just the reason. So, we're going to do it tonight. We're going to do it tonight. And you don't really know when tonight is, so this doesn't really matter to you. But for any of you, for the 5 of you who watch the live video stream who are listening to this going, wait a second. That's right, we didn't do this live because since Dave doesn't have a camera, it would just be you watching me awkwardly for like an hour, and we don't want to do that. So anyway, long rambling intro. Yeah, there's not really any Battlefield news to talk about this week. They've been teasing Battlefield 4, and I do mean teasing. Like, they showed us rain, and some tanks in the rain, and a dude running in tanks in the rain. And submarine screws. And a submarine screw. So, whenever they release any actual information, we'll cover that. But up until now, like, ooh, groundbreaking, it's going to be modern. There's probably military things in it.
Which is kind of funny, because if we were doing this podcast on a normal night, it would be after the big reveal, and we'd have like a ton of stuff to talk about.
We can save it till next week. This is going to be a DayZ-centric episode. Well, actually, I guess most of them have been. This is podcast 11, and quite a few of them have been pretty DayZ-centric. When DayZ comes out, I don't know what we're going to do with ourselves, but we'll cross that bridge.
We're too busy playing to actually podcast anymore. I'd be like, screw you guys, we're playing constantly.
That's not true. We love you guys. Don't leave us. Okay.
Yes, please don't leave us. We're sorry.
Anyway, so PAX was recent. And
well, actually, before we dive into DayZ, should we cover the current Battlefield 4 rumors? There's some pretty legit rumors floating around right now that might be worth just a couple minutes of discussion.
Sure, go ahead.
Have you heard that Commander Mode is coming back?
I've heard people complaining about it. I haven't heard any. I'll be honest, I didn't really know there were a lot of rumors going around. Shows how much I pay attention, but is that an actual rumor or just fanboys whining? Like we do.
Well, it's always been fanboys whining ever since the release of Battlefield 3. You know, I miss Commander a lot just because it felt like squads were so much more disorganized in Battlefield 3. But yeah, 2 sources that I've seen at least have talked about Commander Mode coming back, and not just the Battlefield 2 Commander Mode, but actually a totally revamped modern version designed for the modern Battlefield, basically. And we have no idea what that means, but I mean, I'm all ears. That sounds good to me.
If it happens, it might be good. We'll see.
Yeah, and if it comes with squad voice over IP, please.
All right, what other rumors are there? Reputable rumors.
Yeah, that one. China. Red China. As a third faction.
Ooh, so basically going back to Battlefield 2.
Yeah, 3 factions once again.
Cool. Would Russia be the other, or would it be the mercenaries again?
I think it looks like Russia would be the third faction, not the Middle Eastern faction.
Okay. Well, it's kind of pointless for us to speculate about that, because again, by the time you listen to this, it'll have already happened. So you'll be sitting there going, you guys are so stupid. So before you leave a comment below this video calling us out on our ineptitude, keep in mind, we have not actually seen the press conference yet.
We can't time travel.
So, well, maybe that'll be a feature of Battlefield 4.
Yeah, I'm excited. I mean, if those 2 things are a part of the game, I think that would really increase like my excitement for the game. Seeing it is going to be modern warfare, they are going to have to step it up a notch. You know, naval warfare, a third faction, bringing back some of those classic, commander options, stuff like that.
The feature that's going to do it for me is a promise to make the game actually work when it comes out. Like, if they say
whoa, slow down here, buddy. Okay, just easy now.
It's enough to drive a man back to Call of Duty. All right.
Okay, now we're just... I don't know. Man, too far, sir. Too far.
So is that all the relevant Battlefield 4 stuff? I mean, basically nothing at this point.
Rumors.
Yeah. They're teasing the tease reveal. It doesn't make any sense, but whatever. Yeah, so DayZ is not out yet. Let's just go ahead and jump to the main point people probably care about. DayZ is not going to be out this month, next month, and probably not until June. Actually, pretty definitely not until June.
Yeah.
And it may not even come out in June. Rocket has said that when they get to June, they're going to see where they're at and kind of reevaluate. Now, given that they initially were going to release it in December, and apparently they saw where they were at and they decided to push it, let's not get our hopes too far up about June, but it is the first time they've mentioned a date, a more concrete date. So, this could be it.
And to be fair, I think the game that they're creating at this point is completely different from what they announced in August of last year. It's not the same beast anymore.
Yeah, that's probably pretty safe to say. So
this is the first date they've actually talked about since announcing that, hey guys, we scrapped the idea of doing a standalone version of the mod, and we're actually making it its own game now.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty exciting.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see about the date, but anyway, we have a lot.
I think
of
everyone
notes.
kind of expected another delay at this point. Like no one really felt that it was coming out like now.
Which this is one of the advantages of having a. There's advantages and disadvantages of having a publisher working with a developer. One advantage is that a publisher can say, "No, we're spending all our money on this, so you are going to release it at this date," and the developer can't just go, "But features, we're just going to add more features." And then the disadvantage is a developer or a publisher can be saying, "No, you have to release it at this time," and the developers are saying, "But it's not done yet," and they're like, "Who cares? Patch it." So,
I get the feeling that Rocket like really wants to have like at least a base level of every main feature in the first alpha, and I'm hoping that maybe some other guys in the team can talk him down from that, because it's a pretty high goal to have. There's a lot of work to do to get to that point, and I don't know that every little feature needs to have a initial representation in that first alpha version.
Well, not every feature. He did say that vehicles aren't going to be in until at least a couple months after release, and bases won't be in until like this winter. Which I don't know. Vehicles not being there at the beginning, that's a little depressing because we've kind of gotten a little bit spoiled. Unless, I guess the core gameplay should be so fun and interesting, we can just lose ourselves playing that. But as of right now, I am a little bit bummed about the vehicles because there's nothing quite as fun as not having to walk across the entire map.
Yeah, I'm actually more bummed about the vehicle announcement than the fact that it's not going to come out until at least June, just because, like you said, like that was the end game almost, was getting a vehicle repaired and using it to build like a little camp away from the rest of the map.
And he did mention, let me see, I'm skimming through these notes here. They are working on in-game stuff because there was a Q&A at PAX and people were asking, like, what are you going to do so that people's in-game isn't just, once you have great guns, go shoot people who don't have great guns. Like, that's pretty much as far as it went. And he didn't really go into a whole lot of detail other than saying they want to have some sort of, like, skill system and roles that people can come into, almost sounding like they want to create a little bit of a community or culture that people fulfill specific roles within the game. But he was incredibly vague, which leads me to believe that's like kind of notes on a napkin right now. Because they've been very forthcoming about all the things they're actually working on. So unless like they've got some amazing thing they don't want anyone to steal the idea for, or see, then they might just be holding that one close to the chest. Speaking of the War Z,
they would never.
Speaking of the War Z, I haven't heard a single thing about it since it came back to Steam. Have you?
Yeah, I don't think anyone cares at this point.
Anyway, moving on.
It already crashed and burned. Although I did laugh. Apparently, Rocket is still getting tweets from people asking like, "Hey Rocket, when is the War Z vehicle patch coming out? I've been waiting for that forever." And he just retweets it now. Like, whatever. I don't even care.
I just don't understand how people can know enough to play the game and not know enough. Anyway, it doesn't make sense. But yeah,
it does make me sad that apparently their deception, it was at least a little bit effective in their naming scheme. That's kind of sad.
That is true. All right, so from the notes we have, this is all taken from the Q&A at PAX and from their presentation at PAX. They say the controls will be very similar to Arma 3, and specifically the gun controls, which I think is good. The gun controls in Arma 3, they're not the best, but they're quite a bit better than Arma 2. They feel
more responsive.
Yeah, they're a lot more responsive. I still wouldn't call them awesome, but they're pretty good. You know, they're definitely more simulation-like than an arcade shooter, and that's fine. That's what it wants to be. But I closer to Arma 3, I'm okay with that. They just say a lot of work on controls to make them feel better and less clunky. I guess we'll just see what that ends up meaning.
Well, looking at the gameplay footage, I was very excited to see that your rifle is actually visible at all times. Even when you're running around, you kind of see like your arm holding the stock against your chest, and you're moving around, and it kind of anchors you more to your character in first person, like really in first person. It helps a lot.
Yeah, and that's something, I play DayZ pretty much exclusively in third person, and I do play Arma 3 in first person because it's it's good enough, like the level of interaction with your character is good enough that I don't feel hampered by it. But in Arma 2, or DayZ, first person just feels bad most of the time. So I pretty much get out of it as soon as I can. But if they can make it more appealing to play in first person, I would love to, just for the immersion. They say that all of the art related to the inventory screen has been done by programmers, but this will be changed.
It's literally colored boxes right now with like
50%
50% opacity. It's hilarious.
They say they will have drag and drop. Hopefully this means working drag and drop and not Arma 3 Alpha drag and drop, where you drag and drop and then sometimes stuff happens and then sometimes nothing happens and you have no idea what's going on.
Now, it sounds like you haven't actually seen the demo of the inventory. Did you actually watch that?
I haven't seen the PAX video yet. No, I mean, you sent me this afternoon. I haven't had time.
Oh, sorry. Okay, well, if I could just break it down real quick. It does work.
Yeah, go ahead.
I've seen it.
Okay.
And it's actually really, really exciting. So you bring up your inventory, right? And you see a 3D model of your character right in the center.
Uh-huh. We should probably just play the footage, over the podcast.
If it's okay with the guy who posted the footage, I'll try to put it on top of the video, but I'll just describe it a little bit here for you. Basically, you see boxes of all your inventory on the right side, and everything on the ground or in the container is all on the left side. And what's really, really cool is, say you have like a sweatshirt off on the left side of the in the loot pile, right?
Mm-hmm.
And some cans of beans along there, over there in the inventory too. You can actually take that can of beans and then drag it onto the sweatshirt, and kind of like a Photoshop layer, it then adds a sub layer under the sweatshirt showing, hey, this can of beans is like in the pocket of the sweatshirt. And then when you drag the sweatshirt over to your inventory, it all comes together and retains that tree layer system.
Well, shoot,
it's all totally visual. It's awesome.
I'm going to have to watch the video now. I was planning on it, but I'll have to watch it sooner as opposed to later. Yeah, okay, that sounds like that makes sense and could work pretty well.
If I can hide a Makarov in my pocket, I will be so happy.
Again, they said no weapons in sweatshirts. I believe it says that. I believe it says that in these notes.
Dreams crushed.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. When you drink and eat, you leave behind trash items. Cool. There's plenty of trash items laying around already. I'm not sure what this will change, but at least you can create them now. A defibrillator is being shown. They didn't really say anything about what you can actually do with it, but they have one. Now, of course, if you know how defibrillators actually work, you cannot revive dead people with a defibrillator. So, depending on how realistic they want to be, considering this is a zombie apocalypse game, maybe you can revive people, which would be very cool, or maybe you can use it to kill people, or maybe it has something to do with disease. But I'm assuming, a defibrillator in games now is pretty much synonymous with reviving a dead or knocked out person, so I guess
maybe
right
unconscious.
Now, yeah, maybe. I'm gonna assume that's what it's for, but we'll see. They didn't say anything about it. So let's see what else. Yeah, it says right here, weapons will take up a certain number of spots in your inventory, but you can't put it in the hoodie because it doesn't have enough space.
Well, I think here they're referring to the AK that he had in the demo, though. So maybe you can't put your rifle in your sweatshirt.
Well, you can always hope.
I'm going to hold on to my hope here.
Hoping and dreaming's about all you've had for the last 3 or 4 months, so.
Keep me warm at night.
So let's talk about the client and server interaction. Obviously, hacks and exploits and hackers and people teleporting everyone to a mile above the island and everything like that. That's always been a really big problem in DayZ. Especially, DayZ is the type of game where, because you have such character persistence, it's a really big deal if someone kills you all of a sudden because you could have lost 20 or 30 hours of effort. Now, it's not as big of a deal if someone kills you in a fair fight. But if you're just cruising the wrong mile, you're in business, and someone teleports you somewhere and they're just mowing people down with a hacked M249, well, that's kind of a big deal because that's not really playing by the rules. And I honestly don't know why that's so fun for people, but it's obviously fun enough for enough people because people keep doing it. So obviously in the standalone, they want to do something about that. And they admit that hacks and exploits are a big problem, and they say the new client-server architecture will do a lot to take care of that. But we don't really know a whole lot about how that's going to work, other than the server is taking care of pretty much all the information at this point, correct?
Yeah, and I imagine that their log system is going to be a lot better as well, so that they can kind of watch patterns of people trying to hack and maybe predict those a bit better.
Now, if the server is handling most of the information or almost all the information. That should mean that on the client side, people's games will run a little bit faster on lower end hardware, I would assume, because with Arma, the biggest slowdown is all the calculations being done on the client side. Even in the Arma 3 Alpha, I've been running at 35, 45 frames per second, but if I start doing a custom editor and add in like 30 units with their own AI, it drops down to 13, 14 frames per second. That's just because of the tremendous load put on the client side to do a lot of calculations. So if they're offloading most of that to the server, that will mean servers will need to be really beast to be able to run the game, I'm assuming. But it should mean that there's a little more standardized performance for people, and that you don't have to have a beast system that can just barely run the game, and it may your frame rate won't dip terribly when you enter cities. Stuff like that theoretically should be a lot better with the new architecture.
And the good news is, too, that Rocket has said that he's already working with some of these big server providers to go ahead and make sure that this completely new system won't destroy servers, and that it won't be even feasible when the game's ready to come out.
Which is good.
Nothing can run this. Yeah.
So they don't pull a Sim City and like everyone's trying to bombard the servers at the very beginning, and they're like, oh, it turns out we're going to have to rethink this because this doesn't work. Oops. Hopefully that won't happen. Let's see. What other features? I've kind of been reading down the features. What other features would you like to talk about? Radios. What's the
that was exciting
ACRE method? That says here in these notes. I don't really know what that means. Probably because I'm not a hardcore enough fan. So
yeah, it's basically a very hardcore Arma mod. I've heard awesome things about it. We need to try it sometime. But essentially, radios in game will work like they do in real life, with channels and range and that sort of thing.
Oh, that could be interesting. Now, if we had that, would we use that to talk to each other?
I imagine our group would probably still use Teamspeak, but it would become basically a replacement for global chat in game.
I'd like that.
And it would be like a very, very realistic version of global chat, and it would allow for some shenanigans, as Rocket put, because he gave the example of you find a radio with a channel that someone else is using, say you're near Cherno, and you sneak into the hospital and you place your radio in the hospital. You have like a second one in your pocket. You turn the speaker off, so it's basically just a bug in the hospital. And then that radio will transmit all direct voice and text chat that it picks up to your radio as long as you're in range.
I guess that could be kind of interesting. It could be a good proximity sensor type thing.
Oh, yeah.
Possibly. Yeah. So, I guess we'll see what happens. But, yeah, I think the idea of radios is really cool. CB radios in cars could be pretty cool, too. I don't know if that's really going to be a thing, but I think it should be.
Breaker, breaker, convoy heading out.
Exactly. Let me see. I like
medical stuff.
Yeah, I like the new medical stuff.
This is super exciting for me. I was so happy to hear about all this.
Well, this actually makes sense, which is what makes me happy, because in DayZ as it is now, it's kind of like, oh wait, I'm passing out and I have 2,000 blood. But sometimes you have 500 blood and you don't pass out for a while. And it's, I don't know, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
And then to fix that, you kill a pig and enjoy some delicious bacon.
Yeah, so explain to us the new health system as we understand it right now.
Basically, there's going to be different categories of damage. And the example that Rocket gave in the PAX talk was, if you get shot, you first take brute force damage to your overall health. You lose blood from your blood inventory. You actually get a shock status, and you have a chance of actually bleeding a bunch.
Which is funny. You have a chance to start bleeding when you get shot. I don't know if they know how getting shot works.
You know our Viking bodies, they just seal right up around the wound as soon as it hits, and you're good to go again. I imagine the chance would be pretty high. I like the example here where, talking about melee weapons, and here he used the example of a baseball bat, where, say, your poor character hasn't had the luck to find one of those awesome motorcycle helmets yet, and some evil, cruel bandit highway robber named Joel sneaks up behind you with a baseball bat and clocks you in the head. Well, you take severe shock damage, and you might just go ahead and pass out immediately if he hits you in the head.
But if you have a helmet, which, helmets were laying everywhere in the demo we saw, so I don't know if those will actually be more rare in the game. I hope so.
But I think it's just the only hat right now.
if you do have a helmet, theoretically you'll still take some shock damage and stuff, but you won't take nearly as much.
Right.
Which could lead to a lot of people running around wearing helmets. We'll see. But yeah, and they say they are still sticking to no UI for your medical status. They want to use post-processing effects, which I guess means you have to leave post-processing on. But they want to use post-processing effects to simulate your poor health, which they kind of do now with the screen losing saturation.
The curve for that is so extreme, though. Like, you lose 1,000 blood, and it's like sepia toned.
Yeah. You got a head cold, you're gonna die!
Welcome to 1950.
Now, I do like blood will regenerate if your hunger and thirst are met.
Yes.
And your health will regenerate if your hunger, thirst, and blood are met, which is nice, which makes sense. It'd be nice if they could like regenerate faster if you're sitting or laying down. That'd be kind of cool.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know how fast is fast. I mean, it's probably going to take, I would guess it would take at least an hour to recover from something serious. I would hope it would. It shouldn't be like Call of Duty. You duck behind a box until the blood goes away and you're good to go.
Take a few deep breaths and you're back on your feet.
Exactly. Hopefully it won't be like that. I assume it won't be like that. I mean, we have no reason to believe it would be. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see, if your hunger and thirst are met, your blood will regen. Now, does that mean like your hunger and thirst have to be above half, have to be above 3/4, or does it just mean you don't have like a hunger icon blinking, like you don't have to eat right now, you don't have to drink right now? I hope it's like that, because otherwise it's going to be really, really annoying to keep up with your hunger and thirst demands.
Yeah, it's probably all going to keep changing too. I would imagine they're still balancing it and seeing what feels best in game.
I do think it's funny that they say that the food you eat will have an effect on your character.
Yes, that's awesome. Like, if you keep eating rusted cans of beans, you're going to get all kinds of sickness.
Well, you shouldn't be eating the cans, but,
Valuable vitamins and minerals in those cans, okay? Waste not, want not.
I wonder if things like refrigeration will matter. Who knows? Have they mentioned, like, rotten food at all?
Not rotten food.
Okay.
That does sound like a good feature.
We assume food can't go bad as of now, but who knows? They may announce it. For weapons, they say there will be a lot less weapons in the initial release and a lot more melee weapons, which I think is good.
Yes.
That'll make the game a lot more interesting if you have people... Like, it gives people more of an incentive to work together if they know that, okay, I can't just shoot you in the head and take all your stuff. Like, if you run up to someone and hit them, you're going to have to stand there and beat on each other for a couple minutes. Or a couple seconds at least to kill each other, so you might as well get along.
Yeah, I mean, I remember the days from, like, last May when the mod first came out where, like, the man in Electro with a Lee Enfield was king. Like, all hail Mr. Lee Enfield. Like, you are the man.
Because people didn't know what all was available, but now if anyone has anything less than, like, an AK-47, they feel shortchanged by the game. So, I mean, we used to have a double-barrel shotgun, and we were thankful.
Actually, it wasn't in the mod yet, but...
Whatever. I don't remember. What was the first... I guess it was the 1866, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Man, there was a time... That was, like, all we used was 1866.
It had, like, a bug where the aggro range was so tiny for it. You could, like, snipe with it and just kill zombies all day long. It was...
I remember that. Now, if I say an 1866, that's, like... That's above double-barrel shotgun, but it's below axe.
And below Lee Enfield, I suppose.
Oh, Lee Enfield's a pretty great weapon. It's stupid loud and doesn't shoot super fast, but, I mean, it's a good weapon.
Yeah.
They say they're going to remake the weapons to improve various aspects of them. All I can say is I would assume so, but that doesn't really tell us anything. So, moving on.
Probably mainly referring to just the fact they have to rebuild them for the attachment system.
Which, I'm curious what type of attachments we get. Maybe we get, like, tactical flashlights on our axes and bats and stuff. Who knows?
Oh, I saw a flow graph somewhere, and I don't have a link to it, but I saw, like, 15 different attachments. Just imagine Battlefield 3, and that's basically, like, all of that. Flashlights, suppressors, foregrips, taping magazines together for a quick mag change.
I like
stuff
that.
Like that. Yeah.
Now, hopefully it won't be like Battlefield 3 where every single gun gets like the same attachments, whether or not it makes any sense. In Battlefield, you get like a 6x scope on this little SMG, and it's like, why on earth would anyone ever want to do that?
Look, I like my options, okay? I'm a unique snowflake.
About the only way the Battlefield attachment system could have been dumber in some of its implementation, wow, is if like you had bipods on shotguns and stuff. Like they didn't quite go that far, but they went pretty darn close.
I didn't even think about that. That'd be awesome.
Think about it. There are no bipods for shotguns.
Well played, DayZ.
They say they're gonna have new skeletons for people because they've been using the same skeleton for 8 years, which I guess is why everyone generally looks pretty clunky. But they
Yes.
say it'll look a lot better, and I have to say, just from watching the footage I've seen so far, it looks pretty good. I mean, it's not the best we've seen in a game, but it's certainly not bad. It didn't seem bad to me. Like, I felt pretty immersed in the game, so,
It's
overall,
actually
so
a
far, so
really
good.
awesome note here where Dean notes that in the Armor series, they use the same skeleton for first and third person. And what this means is, like, when you shoulder your gun, it's at the exact same location on your screen as it is on other players' screen. And this is actually a problem in Battlefield 3 where there's a separate skeleton for first and third person where you can be behind a crate, like shooting, like on your screen, your rifle is above the crate and you're shooting at enemies from behind the crate. But on their screen, all they see is like the top of your forehead and like you're shooting out of the crate basically. There's a disconnect between that first and third person perspectives. And by using the same skeleton, it actually completely eliminates that. And that is awesome.
Hopefully.
Yeah, and the downside to that is that you can't quite customize the animations to look as good in first person because obviously all the changes you make then translate to third person. So you kind of have to hit like this muddy middle ground. But as far as gameplay is concerned, it does make for better gameplay, in my opinion, at least. It's like, do you want the fairness of using cover, or do you want it to like look awesome no matter what? It's kind of a balance you gotta play on.
I kind of want both, but in a game like DayZ, I'm going to want fair first, and then we can go from there.
Yeah, and I think Armor 3 is going to do a good job of balancing that. And if they're going to be using that kind of system, good things are in store.
All right, they say that vehicles will not be in the initial release, but in August, September, they hope to do vehicles. I'm assuming that means a June release date, and that does give a little more weight to the June release date, because if they have dates of when they want to have other features rolled out, they must be fairly confident that they'll be able to hit this date.
Right.
But we'll see. They want you to customize the vehicles. Of course, no real information on what that means, but if I can rip doors off my Jeep, that's good. If I can take engine parts off one car to put on a working one, basically,
Yes.
I'd be happy if you can just find like a broken down vehicle and strip a couple parts off of it. That would make me happy. Just so, because as it is now, like if you can find a truck that's in mint condition except for a wheel, it does you absolutely no good unless you get a wheel. And in a game like that, you should be able to like siphon gas out of cars and take wheels and windscreen glass and I don't know, whatever else you want. Like
That
there
makes sense
should
to
be
me.
some sort of system to do that. So we'll see what customized means. Maybe you'll be able to put like plows on the front to bowl through zombies.
Oh, yes, please. Yes, please.
I'd be in favor of some sort of bulletproofing you can do. I don't know what
Like
that would
welding
be.
metal over the windows. and
Yeah.
just having like little peepholes in it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, of course it would affect your visibility and everything, but like I'd be cool with that. So we'll see what they come out with. Base building, they say, will be their vision of EVE capital ships. Now, I'm not really familiar with EVE capital ships. Are you?
Nope.
All right. I played EVE for like 30 minutes once, and then I was done. I couldn't figure out anything, and it was not fun. From
Isn't
what I
that
hear,
not even like the tutorial? That's just like launching the game 30 minutes.
what I hear is it takes about a week to understand the base gameplay.
Ugh.
Yeah, it's just I have like this life that I'm pretty happy with at the moment. So, I've always told myself, I seriously been telling myself this for years. If I'm ever like stuck in a hospital bed for a year or something, or for a couple months because of some injury, who knows? This is all theoretical. But should that ever happen, I'll play EVE. Like that'll be when I play, unless the DayZ standalone's out. So yeah, but they say base building will be like EVE capital ships. So for the cross section of people who like DayZ and EVE, which I think if you like EVE, you don't have room to like anything else, but I could be wrong.
I think that about sums it up.
Yeah. So you may be jumping up and down and clapping your hands, but for the rest of us, I guess that's good. They say they won't be above ground. They'll be like Skyrim, where they're a separate instance. I'm okay with that if it improves
Yeah.
performance. It also will theoretically, I'm guessing, let you put more bases without affecting performance and without people seeing each other all the time. So we'll see what bases actually look like, but I am looking forward to somewhere where, we can come back, kick it around the watering hole, that type of thing.
I like it.
They say that it'll be the end of the year before they do that, though, so we shall see.
Yeah, I'm okay with that too. I don't feel like base building's like a defining feature that we need to have in that
Exactly.
first
I mean, they need to have enough features that we want to build a base before we actually are going to care about building one. So,
yeah.
they say that they're going to develop some sort of enhanced camera for streaming or tournaments. Now, they say tournament. I'm curious what type of DayZ tournament there would be. Maybe some Battle Royale Hunger Games style thing.
Yeah, I can only think of the Hunger Games, which, I mean, that's neat, but I don't feel like that needs to be priority. If the mod itself is functional, that's enough.
Although, if they get to where base building's good, vehicles are good, everything like that, there could be like clan wars on servers, which you don't really have organized stuff like that now from what I've seen, and it's largely because you can't really count on a server to always be up, and there's hackers. Like, if any server gets too popular, hackers quickly come in and restore the balance. They're kind of like the League of Shadows.
Sure.
They burn it all down and let it return to its deserted state. But if you can really like have your server, like this is the server we play on from here on out, then that would be pretty awesome. And you could maybe have like a clan war or something. Now, our clan, typically when we come across other clans, we don't do so hot, but that could change maybe.
No comment.
I didn't know they were covering the field with a gun. Can we just drop it? It's been almost a year.
The airfield was so wide open.
Anyway. Yeah,
I did like the idea here, talking about streaming. There's a big complaint with the streamers who do live streaming of DayZ where you have to block off so many areas of your screen where your player name is shown for no real reason. Like, in your inventory, it shows your player name. Like, why? You know who you are.
Mm-hmm.
Stuff like that to make it easier for people to live stream is definitely a good thing, and make it easier even if we're doing like offline non-live videos to kind of hide which server we're playing on a regular basis. That's always a good thing.
That would be good. Hopefully they don't come out with some sort of like DayZ stalker like they have for Battlefield.
Yeah, like the ability to hide your in-game player name and then hide the chat, those two alone will probably cover most of like the stream stalking and that kind of thing.
But if you hide your chat, aren't you worried you're going to miss out on a lot?
I mean, I am pretty sad about losing out on that deep intellectual conversation that constantly fills global chat.
All right.
But, sacrifices have to be made.
I mean, I would hope that in the real game, that the chat would be more useful if there is actually incentives for working together and stuff like that. But I guess we don't know.
We'll have radios.
Sure. We might. Then they went into a Q&A session, so I'm just going to read some of the questions because I thought they were interesting. Question number 1. What else are you implementing, if at all, to prevent something, and then it says the rest of the question is something like, what else are you implementing as far as keeping your weapon not at the ready, and what else are you doing to encourage non-kill on-site behavior? Because right now, most people run around with their weapon at the ready, so if you run around a corner and someone's right there, you both have your weapons right there. All you have to do is scope up and fire, and most of the time that's what happens. Now, according to the developers, their answer was they don't want to force players not to do it. They aren't really sure what they're going to do. They say the new medical system is supposed to discourage this behavior because medical supplies are becoming more important. I don't know what that means. Do you know what that means?
I'm actually not sure what that means.
But, I mean, if they have some sort of plan to make you not want to go, not kill everything, then great. We'll see. As with everything, we will see.
Maybe it's just the idea that you don't want to risk missing that shot or failing at that ambush in case you get return fire or you get ambushed, because medical supplies, it's like a whole quest thing to go to try to get some supplies to heal yourself. You have to think twice. Not just, I had nothing to lose here. Let me just dive in and kill.
And they said that bullets and weapons are going to be much more rare.
Yes.
So, that might be an incentive not to kill the first person you see if you only have like 10 rounds. Maybe you really want to save those for if you really, really need them.
Exactly.
I hope this leads to more people pairing up. Like, that can only be a good thing. So, we'll see if it happens, but I'd like it to.
Yes, indeed.
Next question, they asked, if I gather loot on my own, how can I secure it? Can I lock a door? Can I take over a house and secure it? Would barricading houses be an option? And I love the developer's response. They said, we don't want to force any game style or gameplay. Players will have to figure it out. We have no idea how to solve these problems. We will provide tools for players to protect their loot and figure things out, and then it's up to the players to go from there. And I really like that answer, because that really doesn't... It shows that they really understand their core audience and what has made DayZ so great the first time around.
Very happy to see that.
Because if you think about it, DayZ at its core is so stupidly simple that it would never make it, like, that would never make it past the pitch stage.
No.
For most publishing companies, just because it's, So take Arma, and then take out all the missions, and you spawn in, and you have an empty canteen and a bandage. And then you just get to run around, and you can do stuff.
I'm just imagining the publisher, like, suit guy, like, but where are the QuickTime events?
Are there achievements? But, yeah, that was what's so great about DayZ, is really all the great times you have are situations you get yourself into and dream up and come up with on your own, that really aren't designed into the game per se. It's just experiences you have that you've kind of manufactured, and it's good that they're going to let people kind of figure that out by themselves. I know for one, I fully plan on figuring out how to barricade houses, or lock doors, or block something with something, or do something. Like, I really am very interested in the idea of having a city or town where almost all the buildings are enterable and you can hole up in them. Like, I would be very interested in trying that out. If there's no vehicles at first, then I might just travel enough to find maybe a gun or something, some half decent weapon. And then I might just, like, try to live in Cherno or something, or live in some little town. Like, until there's vehicles, I don't see any big reason to go jogging all over the map. I'm just going to try to have as much fun as I can in one little area. I mean, maybe I travel far north and set up shop there, but, if I can actually live in a house or something, that'd be pretty cool. Like, I'd try that.
And that's one thing that's kind of neat about vehicles not being in at the alpha launch. It's disappointing on one hand, but on the other hand, we're back to that time period where going north is like an event. You have to plan it out, like, hey guys, our group's going to be north for a few days.
Yeah.
Either come with us or stay behind at camp. It's going to be kind of cool to think like that again.
Yeah, it will be. And hopefully there'll be good reasons to go north. They talk about north a little farther on, so we'll get to that then. I like that they say, someone asked a question, are you going to support or implement features to streamline the trading process? And they're going to implement a trading screen. Your stuff is on one side, someone else's stuff is on the other. You both drag and drop into your shared pool, and you both have to approve the trade for the trade to go through. This is great, because now you just drop weapons on the ground, and then you hope the other person can pick them up and they don't glitch away, and you hope the person doesn't kill you as soon as you drop a weapon. And there's not a whole lot of incentive to trade right now unless you're with friends. Yeah. So that could be actually something useful. Maybe you could trade someone a vial of diseased blood. Haha. But, yeah, we'll see.
Okay, Joel.
Next question. What are they going to do about server hopping? They say the new server architecture will allow for this to be managed. The central database will detect you server hopping. If you do it again, they might lock you out. They might start you on the ground asleep. They may give you a 10-second delay. So now I'm curious what exactly defines server hopping, because we've been known to, like, jump to a different server and travel around for a while, like if a current server is having issues or something. And I know we have one or two times we have, like, driven up close to our town and then hopped out and gone into a different server, like if the main server we were on was having issues, just to prevent, like, accidentally losing all our stuff or something like that. So I know, by that definition, were we server hopping, or were we?
No, I think what they're talking about here is ghosting would be a better way to put it, where you're ambushed or your ambush goes wrong, and instead of fighting it out like a man, you immediately quit the server, change servers, move like 200 yards into a second ambush position, and then go back to the main server. Basically, you're gaming the game, and they talk about here detecting that. I imagine that would have to do with the combat timer, where normally if you're just changing servers and you're out in the woods, the game's like, okay, whatever, we don't care. But if you're in combat or have been in combat and you're suddenly changing servers multiple times in like 3 minutes, they're going to go, okay, we're going to log this. And when you log back in, you're going to be watching your avatar for 10 seconds just sit there under a bush like an idiot.
Mm-hmm.
Which is probably the best way to fix it, I think, at least.
Yeah, well, I mean, we'll see. We'll see how it works. But I like that they're trying to do something, because it certainly is an issue now. Not necessarily server hopping so much, but just people quitting in the middle of conflict just to come back later, like with no repercussions. That is an issue, because believe it or not, the real world doesn't quite work like that.
It's even worse when they actually use it to essentially gain on your position. Like, that's beyond lame. It's
baloney is what it is.
Whoa, strong words here.
Someone asked, are you going to be able to combine magazines? And they say, yes, you'll have to find magazines and put in ammo you find in the world. Magazines and ammo will be separate, which I think is good.
Amazing.
Because
yes.
I don't know about you, but when I buy bullets for my guns, I don't normally buy them in magazines. I typically buy them in a cardboard box and then stuff them into the magazines, which takes a while.
I don't know. If you're buying bullets, don't you need to buy rounds? I don't know about this.
Okay, sorry, rounds. That's not as wrong as Clipper magazine. That's just a preference.
No, it's not.
And actually, regarding like loading bullets into clips or magazines, I didn't say clips accidentally. I just finished restoring a Carcano Fat 41, and it's an Italian sniper rifle. This is in the real world. I'm sorry. I guess I probably should have made that distinction.
Clarification.
It's a Italian sniper or marksman rifle, and you know this thing is serious because the sights start at 300 meters and go up to 1,000 meters.
That's glorious.
At 300 meters, I had a hard time seeing the target I wanted to shoot. Like, the sight kept hiding it. I mean, not 300 meters, 100 meters. That was as far away as I could get.
Now, we're talking irons here, right?
Yes. It's got a V in the back and then a blade sight in the front.
Okay.
But anyway, that's not what I really wanted to talk about. That gun uses a clip. If you've ever wondered why gun people tell people not to say clip, to say magazine, it's because most modern guns use a magazine. A magazine is like a cylinder or a little box that you stuff bullets into, and then it holds them in the gun. A clip is much simpler. It's really just like a strip of metal that the bullets are wedged into, and then you slide it into the gun, and they're much less contained than they are in a gun with a magazine.
The best way that I've seen to actually tell the difference between the two is it's actually quite simple. A magazine contains a spring, whereas a clip does not.
Okay, yeah.
That's the main difference, is the spring.
That's a good way to tell the difference. But this gun holds 6 rounds in its clip, and so I would load them up, and then to put them in, you have to hold them over the top of the gun and push them down into it. And you could like lose some skin doing that. Like, that is not easy to do. That's a serious spring you're pushing down on. The spring is in the gun itself, and it's not quick to do. And when I'm loading up the clip, I have to be careful that I keep everything straight, or the bullets will go all cockeyed and I'll have to pull them out and start over. Like, it's not that easy. So yeah, like if you have to have bullets separately and load clips and magazines, I'm hoping that rifles like the Lee Enfield, it'll be harder, it'll take longer, stuff like that, to further distinguish those weapons from newer, more modern ones. But
maybe increase the power of those older bolt actions to compensate.
Oh, dude, you want to talk about the power of them? Did I tell you the ballistics test I did?
No.
Okay, so I'm going to send you a picture through Skype so that no one else can see it, because this is what makes for good radio.
That's right.
Hold on, I'm opening up something. We have this like 2,500 page shop catalog, like a parts catalog, and we've been shooting it with various guns to see how far they'll go through it. And like a 380 auto handgun will go through a couple, like it'll go through maybe 1,200 pages, not quite half. I'm sending you 2 files there. It'll go through not quite half, and like you can see the tiny little holes in it, and you can pull the round out of the middle of it. Well, the Carcano round, which for comparison is about 40% larger than a 223, it's a 6.5 by 52 millimeter. That tore a hole all the way through this parts catalog.
Oh man!
I'm waiting for you to be able to. 2 minutes remaining. How stinking slow is Skype?
Wow, that's horrific. What century is this?
remember I used to use Skype to actually send large files. Haha. Anyway,
What's the muzzle velocity on that?
let me look that up real quick.
I'm kind of curious now.
Let me see. Carcano, Fat 41. This is really good radio.
That is a beautiful picture, which I will definitely put into the podcast right now, so you guys can gape at the pages upon pages of destruction.
Let me see. Blah blah blah. I'm looking online. Vamp for a minute while I look this up.
The next picture in my pictures folder is a clip from Arrested Development where it's George Bluth yelling, "No touching!" I have no idea why that's there, but it's fantastic.
All right, this should be about the same rifle. Carcano did make a number of different models, but if this is correct, the muzzle velocity is 701 meters per second.
Holy crap!
So that's AR. That's Oh, I found the official 2,360 feet per second.
That's fast.
That's AR-15 fast, isn't it?
Yeah, with a much larger round.
If anyone's interested, if you see on the picture, you'll see these tiny little holes on the book. Those are the entrance holes for the AR-15. We shot it going the other direction. It did make it all the way through, but not in nearly as spectacular a fashion.
Yeah. Those are some glorious exit wounds.
So, yeah, that's what the Carcano will do to you. So I think the damage should definitely be up there. Like, one of these guns, the chance for you to bleed when you're shot, it shouldn't be a chance. Like, there should be a 6-inch hole in you. There should be a chance that your guts come out. That's what there should be a chance of.
A chance of infecting all the people who just got splattered with your blood and
but I mean, honestly,
bits.
Is there any reason a Lee Enfield shouldn't be like a one-hit kill from any medium distances?
Maybe if you were in enough tactical vest, maybe.
Maybe. What's the a Lee Enfield is 2,400 feet per second.
Yeah, it's pretty beastly.
Yeah, so I don't know. I would like those to be like those in an AR. They will really do a lot of damage, and then of course that'll make the birdshot shotguns even worse. But yeah. So after acquiring in-game loot, I'm going back to questions now.
Massive rabbit trail over.
Sorry. Again, when it's just me and you, we talk about guns a lot.
This took a while though. Like we took a while to get to that point.
Should we just start a guns podcast where we talk about guns?
I'm all right with that. How about we just go out and shoot guns more often?
Well, I would like to, but we don't live near each other.
And there's also the mild price of, or mild problem of ammo prices.
Only your firstborn. I go out and shoot a lot, but it's only a couple rounds at a time.
I went through a box of 40 rounds of 9mm today, and I'm like, I bought this ammo at a time when 9mm was like 24 cents a round, and now it's like 84 because of panic pricing. It's pricey stuff.
A relative of mine was at a gun show this past weekend. Sorry, rabbit trail. We're still going to travel down it.
Here we go.
He said that AR-15s are down between $300 and $100 compared to where they were a couple weeks ago when he was at another gun show. He said it looks like the market's kind of correcting itself now. People realizing that, surprise, their guns have not been taken away yet. So the prices are starting to normalize a little bit. I'm hoping ammunition starts to stabilize after that too. I've no problem with people buying all the guns they can find. Like, obviously, I have no issue with that. They can do whatever they want. It's just frustrating for me because I want to buy ammunition for sport shooting and I can't that easily because it's all being snapped up. So,
to be fair, I have seen 25-cent 9mm in the last month. I just have not acted fast enough to actually order it because it sells out in about 5 minutes.
Right now, I'm looking for 9mm and 223. Not having a lot of luck, but we'll see how it goes. Okay, now the rabbit trail's over.
Well, I think we only have a few more questions that we really want to cover because there was quite a bit, but some of it's just kind of repeating the same things.
Exactly. The ones I'm most interested in are in-game weapon saturation, animals, and background.
Yes.
So episode... Wow, why did I just say that? That's not even written anywhere on the screen. I'm sorry, guys. Yeah, anyway, weapon saturation. What are they going to do to make things such as heli crash weapons more rare? Where you can just pull up to a helicopter and you're almost guaranteed to have at least a half-decent weapon there.
But
Which
never an M14. I'm so bitter.
It would make sense given that it's a helicopter that crashed. Like, there probably is a weapon or two on board, but
Yeah.
I'm still bitter you can't detach the miniguns and carry them around. I don't care if
Wrong game.
I don't care if I can only walk 5 miles an hour. I want one. Or 2 miles an hour. They said that advanced weapons will be very hard to find. Advanced weapons being the ones that have attachments. Even pistols will be hard to find. They want to bring in modding later once they fixed hacking. So that's good. Like, that's all good stuff. It just, so that everyone doesn't have the very best gear. Again, it kind of will create more of a sense of community when people have an incentive to not just try to murder everybody. And, of course, it does have the disadvantage of the first person who finds an M4 and gets back down to Cherno, it's just going to be a bloodbath. There'll be people with motorcycle helmets and bats just circling him, waiting for him to use his last bullets.
Yep.
So anyway, scrolling down.
So many questions.
Will animals be a threat? They want animals to be a threat. They need to figure out the animation system for animals. They want to expand hunting so you can use animals like dogs for things. It's a lot of work, but that's something they would like to do. So we'll see, which would be cool because right now there aren't really any animal threats. But if you're not just surviving against people, like if you can't go up to the north because bears live there, that could be a big deal.
Although, Jeremiah, to be honest, given your talent for kiting zombies, you're gonna be the first one of the group to get mauled by a bear.
Probably.
It's gonna be you.
I'm the first one to ride a bear. What are you talking about? Saddles.
Mentioning actually having a threat besides people, I think between the many new diseases, especially how they connect with your food supply, maybe having animals as a threat as well as players and zombies, it's going to spread the PvP action out more, and you're going to feel more threatened without having to run into a player every time.
People won't be your biggest threat, as now people are really your only threat. Zombies are not a threat unless you do something really stupid.
Like we do often.
Well, I mean, honestly, when's the last time we were killed by zombies?
Yeah.
Except for a sacrifice. I kind of sacrificed myself so you guys could fix a car about a month ago. But that was very intentional. We were right near the coast. I had no good gear. That wasn't a big deal.
Yeah.
Other than that, I can't remember the last time I was killed by zombies that wasn't a result of being shot and passing out or something like that.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
Of course, if you can't just lose zombies the first house you duck into, zombies will become a big deal. And if you wander out in the wilderness and come across a horde of zombies, that will be a big deal. I hope I come across a horde of zombies and find a minigun on a chopper. That would just be a good time.
I'm not going to argue with that.
But yeah, people asked about heat maps posted on forums to show where people aren't going for certain loot locations. They're asking how you're going to make locations more desirable as far as loots. And they said 120,000 items can spawn on a map. Every building and every wreck can spawn items. Not necessarily that it will every time, but it can spawn something. And to compensate for that, they've lowered the percentage chance that each individual wreck or building will spawn something. Which is good because it should be a lot less hey, let's hit up the grocery store and the hospital, but you might actually want to comb through a whole town for stuff. So, that could be worthwhile. And hopefully that will lead to people just branching out and exploring more, or they might just stay in one place and just keep farming the same spawns if there's a bunch more of them. So, we'll see. It would be nice if it felt less like an item spawn area and more just stuff is here and you can find it.
See, that's the exciting part about the server and client architecture change is that the server will have a global list of loot tables, and it will know what's supposed to be in an area. So you're not going to be able to pull loot off of a pile and then wait 10 minutes and it spawns back in because you're still there. The server's going to go, okay, you looted this spot. Well, there's plenty of other loot spread out across the server. I'm not going to fill in this spot right now because you just looted it. It's going to stay like that for a while.
So it might just be we need to have beans spawning in 2% of the spawn locations across the map. And as long as there are beans in 2% of those locations, they're not really going to worry about which ones.
Yeah, and I think that's going to make looting feel a lot more realistic. You'll have to travel more to loot different things versus just farming certain types of buildings.
Right.
And you won't see things like barns full of hatchets over and over again. Hopefully.
Hopefully. They said that the whole northern sector of the map is being redone, which I think is good because other than the northwest airfield, people don't really care about the north that much.
There's a lot of empty forest. Like I did a lot of camp hunting back in the mod, and like having my run key held down by like a pen or something while I scour endless miles of empty forest for camps. That got old very quickly.
It just because there wasn't anything up there other than the airfield, there wasn't much that was worth going up there for. Like, why run around and find this tiny little hovel or something up there if you're not going to, if there's nothing that you can't find closer to the coast? I'm hoping you can spawn anywhere on the map instead of just the coast. I mean, given this is a zombie apocalypse, there would be people in all of those locations, theoretically. So,
I've actually talked about this a lot with Joel, and I actually argue strongly in favor of a coastal spawning system just because it leads to that sense of progression. You know? What happens if you have players that are spawning right outside of a military camp in Starry Sobor?
Well, that's true. Although, I mean, they could adjust the spawn system so you can't spawn, you can't spawn that close to anything.
Yeah, maybe some empty wood spawns, but only a couple. And I think that the coast is also very important for new players. Like, the first time I played the game, if my back hadn't been facing the coast, I would have been so lost. And I had played Arma 2 before. It had just been a long time. Imagine being a new player and you literally spawn in a forest with no compass. You're going to be so lost.
Well, I was pretty lost even with the coast. That's, again, can lead to the sense of what on earth is going on here. But someone asked, are they going to add party or clan features such as spawning with friends, clans, anything like that? They said they thought about it, they're not sure, but they like the idea. Or they like the idea of people being able to meet up. So we'll see what happens. Who knows?
My concept for that would possibly be you're allowed like one clan spawn per life. So your first new game on the server, everyone comes in together, you all spawn together, and until you die, that's the only clan spawn that you get.
And once you die, you just respawn wherever?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not too bad. We've talked about it before. It would be nice, like...
I'm sorry, I'm so boring, gosh.
No. The yawns, they just overpower me. It would be kind of cool, like we've talked about, if you could respawn within a certain, a mile or two of your friends. Just to, that's not as realistic, but it's one of those balanced realism out with fun. And if everyone's up north for some reason and you get killed and there are no vehicles for the next couple months and you spawn down on the coast, you're done for the evening. Like, there's no point, So unless you have
a good point too.
2 hours to meet back up, it's just not going to be that fun. And that's the type of thing that makes people frustrated. I mean, most of my frustrations with DayZ are when I die and can't get anywhere close to you guys, or like something happens and, it's just a bunch of people talking on Teamspeak but running around on a map by themselves. And, that's just not as much fun. So I would be okay with them losing a little bit of realism to make the game a little more fun in that particular area, but we'll see what happens. Someone asked, and this is probably, I think, the last question, what are some of the biggest features from Arma 3 that they would like to use? They say they want to have underwater. I don't know why.
Yeah, I have no idea why that's important.
I mean, the water is totally useless in DayZ, so I don't know what it's going to be like in the standalone. But I guess, it's not... Maybe, if the ballistics is realistic, like if you could dive into the water to escape someone shooting at you, that might be kind of cool.
Ooh, yeah. I like the sound of that.
Of course, you have to hold your breath, and who knows. If you could tie bricks to people's feet and throw them in the water, that might be fun. They want to use the lighting from Arma 3, which I approve of, and they want to use the daytime shaders.
Yes.
Which
those are already in game, aren't they?
It looks like it from looking at the footage they've showed. It looks a lot more like the Arma 3 lighting. So, yeah, it looks like
that was a big part of the dev blog like a month ago, was showing the new lighting system. Yeah, that's definitely in game right now.
It does look really good, and they say they want to use the Arma 3 controls, which, aren't that much different from the Arma 2 controls, but they're just more refined, which they've talked about other times. So basically,
I think
just
even that
more
slight
refined
improvement
controls.
though makes a huge difference in how it feels. Like,
it does.
Just watching
it does.
them move around, it's like, oh yeah, first person actually feels like first person now.
Right. It feels less clunky, and DayZ is a very, very clunky game. We've said numerous times, if they could just make it fast and fluid and smooth, it could be so much more fun.
Yeah.
Because it'd be just a lot more exciting. So, yeah, that's pretty much everything from PAX that we know so far. They say
That's a lot.
they say there's gonna be another dev blog coming soon. So we'll see. And they also hinted we could expect the dev blogs to slow down some because they're going to be in crunch time. Hopefully, which means they're just too busy to turn out stuff for us. But maybe a screenshot here or there would be enough for people like Dave.
Just give me a taste, guys. Just one more hit, please.
But is there
actually,
anything?
If they stop doing the videos, I'd be okay with that because those take a lot of time to set up and record and render and edit and all that stuff.
And the quality hasn't been that great.
Well,
let's just be honest.
Brutal honesty.
But yeah, is there anything else you wanted to talk about in relation to DayZ?
No, I think we pretty much covered it all. I guess we'll keep playing the mod on and off because it does still have its moments.
Yep, I mean we're really enjoying the Breaking Bad series, so you guys keep watching it. From what we've seen, you guys are enjoying it too. We're working on getting more and more twisted and murdering more and more people, but it's a process. So
I think this is good for us to get all of this crazy over-the-top banditry mostly out of our systems. So we can go a bit more chaotic neutral.
I don't think we've gone far enough though.
Looking at some of the footage we've captured, we've gone pretty far.
Not far enough. That's all I'm gonna say.
You and Joel terrify me. That's all I'm gonna say.
I mean, it's just if you're gonna do it up right. You feel me?
Joel keeps saying that even though we're gonna go back to playing kind of more neutral survivors when standalone comes out, he apparently has this list of horrible things that he wants to try in standalone, and he won't show it to me, but he just giggles a lot whenever he talks about it, and I'm freaking terrified.
He won't tell you what he's talking about.
No, he'll mention it occasionally. He just start giggling and be like, "No, I can't talk about it."
You're being trolled. You're being trolled.
This is Joel we're talking about, though.
Right, you're being trolled. How many times has he hopped out of a vehicle and started shooting at us, and he acts like his mic's gone down? And we spent 10 minutes running around going, "What's going on?" And finally he's like, "Hey guys."
Hey guys.
It's happened at least 4 or 5 times when I've been online. So it's probably 6, 7, 8 times total.
Many times, yes.
Yeah,
I'm sure it's an equal mix of horrible things to do to other people and horrible things to do to us.
Yeah, that's pretty much the podcast as it is right now, guys. This is a little bit of a smaller episode this week, but as we find out more Battlefield 4 information, I'm sure we're going to have a big podcast or two to talk about that.
Oh, yeah.
Hopefully try to get some guests in. If you are a YouTuber who is known for their Battlefield work and you might like to be on the podcast, maybe send us a message. We want to be talking with as many people as possible. But, if it's just you and your 3 subscribers and your 2 videos of you filming your television screen, that's not really what we're referring to. But, if
Jeremiah, I worked very hard on those, okay? I don't appreciate the slander.
If Battlefield is a big thing for you, if you really care about Battlefield 4, even if you don't want to be on the podcast, and this is by no means a blanket invitation to everyone to appear on the podcast, send us emails talking about what you're interested in for Battlefield 4, what you're excited about, what you're not. By the time you listen to this, the big reveal will have already happened. So tweet at us at Casual Shenanigans, or leave comments on these videos and let us know what you're excited about, and we will talk about that on the podcast for sure.
Yes.
But yeah, we're very excited to see whatever happens. So with that, guys, that is going to be all for this evening, I think. Do you have any parting shots, Dave?
Dave's exciting game of the week. I am super pumped for BioShock Infinite.
Oh yeah, that comes out tomorrow as we record this, and a couple days ago by the time you listen to this.
My collector's version should get here Wednesday, so it'll be a day late, but their art books are so awesome. I have to have the art book.
You just have to. You just have to.
I can't help it.
All right. Yeah. Thanks for listening, guys. We appreciate you guys. As always, want to be a part of the show, send us an email, casualshenanigans@gmail.com, and we will see you next time. Bye.
Bye, guys.